Alright, hello everybody. All my Jennies and Jacks out there. If y'all been watching the videos, y'all know that I had some storm damage and I had to break out the old chainsaw to do a little cleanup. Well, close there to the end, I had to saw into a dogwood tree. Now, a dogwood tree is very hard. I found that out real quick like. It's the first dogwood tree I ever had to cut down. It was dead and I had the chainsaw out, so I took it down too. So I had to work on the chainsaw. I had to use the chainsaw a good little bit to get all that stuff cleaned up. And by the end there, my blade, you can tell when your chain is getting a little dull. Not your blade, your chain. Did I say blade or did I say chain? Did I say chain? I think I said chain, not blade, but chain. It was getting a little dull, so I had bought a sharpening file with a gauge on it and everything, you know, where you can sharpen the chain that you got. But my chain is, the chain that I got is for a, it's just a 5/32. Anyway, whichever one it was, I had the other one. So I had gotten the wrong one, but I'd had it for years. I had just gotten the wrong one. I think it fit that Poulan, whatever you want to say it, Pro. But it didn't fit the Husqvarna. That's what I got here. So, what we're going to do is we're going to change the chain. We're going to clean it up. And I'm going to take it apart somewhat, however much I feel comfortable with. Because I've never had to do this before. This is something that's new. But this sucker right here, I'm sure a steel is just as good. Steels, I've heard good things about steels. But this Husqvarna, it's hard to beat this joker. It's a good little chainsaw. It had a little bit of trouble cranking that today, but you know, not near as much trouble as that Poulan Pro was. So we're gonna take this thing apart and go in it and look at it and see what it looks like. And while we're at it, we're gonna clean out the clutch. We're gonna change the chain and clean the bar. All right. Dirty, grungy. Nasty. Gotta clean it. Our story tonight is about a fire. In 1871, October the 8th of 1871, the Great Chicago Fire started. It started in O'Leary's barn by O'Leary's cow on the south side of town, or at least that's the popular notion. Everybody has heard the story, I'm sure, at least somewhere in their life has heard the story about the Great Chicago Fire and how it started and how devastating it was to Chicago. Now, it was bad fire, don't get me wrong. It was very bad fire. Kills 250 people and does over $200 million worth of damage to Chicago. It left a lot of people homeless. It did a lot of damage. It was just it was a really bad fire. But it does not hold the distinction, or it does not hold the reputation to have to be the deadliest fire. In a place called Peshtigo, Wisconsin, there was a fire that was even more devastating and deadlier. It kills over 1,000 people and does an unmeasurable amount of damage. Now, Peshtigo was a lumber town. It had a lot of lumber mills and processed a lot of lumber. They sawed a lot of lumber. They brought in a lot of lumber. And anybody who has ever burned anything in your life knows how good a fuel that lumber is. How good a fire fuel that lumber is. Well, Peshtigo, Wisconsin, like I said, was a lumber town, and it got really hot really fast. Now, when it does that, the air gets actually hot, and it has the ability to jump creeks and streams and rivers and ponds and everything like that. People would jump into the pond thinking that they were safe, or jump into the creek thinking that they were safe, only to have the fire jump over them and start on the other side. So when it gets to the other side, it starts spreading even worse, even more. Like I said, 1,000 people had died. during the Great Peshtigo Fire, but you never hear anything about the Great Peshtigo Fire, even though it's only 250 miles away from Chicago. But the reason you never heard about the Great Peshtigo Fire is because it happened on the same night as the Great Chicago Fire. Where's all the papers at? Where's all the news media at? In Chicago. Okay, this is the inside right here. I've got it cleaned up pretty well. The clutch sits in here that actually activates the chain. Whenever you pull it forward, it disengages. It pulls this spring, and it actually engages the clutch that allows the chain to turn. This right here is your chain tightener, chain tension. You loosen up the nut on the outside and you turn this one way or the other. This is the actual screw on the outside. You turn this one way or the other and it pushes the bar back and forth. If you need it a little looser, it goes that way. If you need it a little tighter, it goes that way. Just pulls the bar back. Oh no, just the opposite. If you need it tighter, it goes that way because it pushes the bar out to the chain. If you want it looser, you pull it back this way and that loosens the chain up because it's pulling the bar back. So this is the inside of it. Like I said, the clutch sits in here. And this is the tension device. Now I got to put the covers back on and we'll look at it then. Okay. This is it with all the covers on it. Have this cover right here back on it and this cover right here. This protects the clutch spring and this protects the adjusting bolt right there. Okay, I got the bar cleaned out and got the groove where the chain rides into. Got it, well, I say I got it cleaned out. Yeah, I got it cleaned out. Got that cleaned out. Now I got to clean all this mess up. The little circular piece there, see that band that goes around? That's what is activated. That band fits around the clutch here. That's what turns your chain on and off. Let's clean this mess up. Okay, we got the clutch compartment with the bar compartment right here. Got it all cleaned up, for the most part anyway. Let's see what else we can get into. Okay, this is the top side of it. This cover would normally sit on there like this, okay, or like this. Up there, like this. So I pulled this cover off, check the air filter. That's the little air filter right there. You just pop that little spring off and then pull this out. While you clean the air filter, it wasn't really that dirty. Of course, there's a spark plug. That's just the insides of it. This is the run and stop switch, the choke, run and stop. Of course, you can see how it activates it right there. That's your gas. That's how fast and speed. Of course, there's your crank. I ain't pulling the crankcase off of it right here. That's about it. That's all there is to it. Right there is where your bar and chain oil goes into, and that's the fuel oil right there. Now, Husqvarna does a really good thing, which I'm sure a lot of people do. A lot of different companies make it. They make the gas and the oil already mixed up to 50 to 1. 1 quart. Now, it's expensive as all get out. That thing right there, I think, was like $7 or $8 for a quart. So, I mean, it's expensive, but I can never, ever, ever, ever get the fuel mixture right. The oil and fuel mixture, I can never get it right, so I just went ahead and bought it. I didn't have to worry about it. That's one of the reasons I think this sucker cranks and runs like a top. So I'm gonna clean it on up a little bit more, put the new chain on the bar, tighten the chain up and everything, and call this one done. Okie doke. I got the cover cleaned off here. I got the inside. I got the clutch clean. Got the new chain on here. Ooh, ow. Anyway, got the new chain on there. Everything's cleaned up. It's ready to use.